Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV, the main talking points on tonight's programme. Scotland prepare for lowest crowd in over a century against Canada. Dave King to discuss summer plans with Rangers manager Pedro Caixinha. And Zinedine Zidane believes Moussa Dembele's cap is coming soon. Yeah, just a few of the talking points on the programme, and by the time it finishes it'll be a hop, skip and a jump for me to Easter Road, Ruffy, just to have a look at Scotland, some of the players that might be able to force their way into Gordon Strachan's thinking for Sunday.
Yep, I think this is what the game's all about. You know, there's some new young players been introduced to the squad, not household names, so the fans will want to see what's there for the future. But yes, you're right, you know, we're looking for people to impress and maybe force their way in. I don't think there'll be that many. I've already said the boy Oliver Burke, we keep talking about him. You know, we've had a look at him, a short look at him. I think we'd like to see more. We'd like to see maybe 90 minutes at Easter Road, and hopefully he can do something special and give us that wee added player.
Yeah, well, we'll hear from Gordon Strachan in a minute, Tom Kearney as well. But let's look at the papers and the headlines from this morning's back pages, just to give you a little flavour of what's been dominating their thoughts. And as you can see, there's a story in the Metro about Arsenal watching Celtic defender Kieran Tierney on a regular basis. I'm sure Arsenal and more than a few other clubs have all been watching Kieran Tierney. Whether Celtic decide to part with him is another matter. Elsewhere, Martin Wycon been linked with a summer move to Nottingham Forest. It's an obvious one because Mark Warburton's in charge there. Of course, Leeds and Huddersfield have also been linked with the Rangers striker as well. So will he be looking to pastures new? And of course, we'll be talking in the second part of the programme about Dave King, his discussions with Pedro Caixinha, because that could be interesting to reveal what budget the new manager at Rangers will have for the summer in his bid to close the gap on Celtic. So that's lots of things to talk about. Of course, you mentioned there Scotland, Gordon Strachan, clearly with a job to do against Canada tonight. But I think as the manager concedes himself, this is really trying to build the confidence up ahead of that match against Slovenia.
First of all, as you notice our squad, there's a lot of players don't play regularly. There's quite a majority of players don't play regularly. So that's what we're using the game for. First of all, we're using the game to win, to make us feel better about ourselves. And these guys have not had a game for a while to play as many minutes as they can.
Okay, so you might get the, you know, maybe Oliver Burke will get a run out there, you know, Tom Kearney, a name that we haven't heard before. We'll also be looking to the likes of Ryan Fraser. It was interesting, actually, his comments in the papers about how he employed a sports psychologist. I don't like to use the word shrink. It kind of gives you that feeling that there's something wrong, whereas Ryan Fraser was using it to try and give him an edge. It's something that more and more footballers are buying into, Ruffy.
Yeah, it's modern day football, isn't it? You know, if something's put in front of you that can improve your game, you know, that and if you want to use it for your own ability, you know, and use it if it makes you a better player, yeah, you would buy into it.
Yeah, was it something you ever contemplated, maybe just sitting down with someone to say, you know, listen, I think I'm a good goalkeeper, but you need to give me an edge to make me a better goalkeeper?
I had my mum. I used to sit with my mum, and she used to tell me the truth. You know, and I used to take it on board, you know.
Yeah. At this point, you know, and usually I would dismiss that out of hand because I know you and you're a classic wind-up. But with your mum, I actually believe you for this one.
Yeah, I think things have moved on. Obviously, that particularly if you're not playing well and your confidence is low, obviously you've got the people at the club to help you. But sometimes personal touch, you know, I don't mean your mum or your dad. Right? I mean, if somebody out with the actual team, you can sit down and have a natter away, and it's moved on now to sports scientists who do give people a belief if they don't think they're going through a good spell. But I'd never had to use it myself.
No, I mean, Bertie was all you needed to build your confidence up, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Bertie shouted you at once. That was enough for me. You know that. No, I mean, man management is a massive thing in the game. You know, and but as I said there, if you think you need something else, then use it to your advantage.
Well, I mentioned Tom Kearney, the Fulham midfielder, is clearly hoping that his performance, maybe even tonight, can maybe tweak Gordon Strachan's team selection for Sunday.
had a season as good as this one that I've had. Obviously, I owe a lot to the manager and the staff for that as well. But yeah, I think I feel confident, and if the gaffer wants me to play, then I'll be ready. Of course, I don't want to be just a flash in the pan, as they say. I mean, I want to be here for a number of years and hopefully a part of a squad for a number of years. As tough as that is, but yeah, I just once I'm in, I'd like to stay in if I can.
Well, he's a player that I don't know too much about, Ruffy, but I'm certainly looking forward to seeing him tonight to see what he has to offer as well. I think maybe one, possibly two, that we haven't really seen that much of might force their way into his thoughts to give us something different, and boy do we need it for Sunday.
Yeah, I'd be a wee bit surprised if he broke into the first team. You know, I think it's a massive game, it's a must-win game. To throw a young player like into that arena, you know, and expect him to play at 100% is a big ask, you know. But yeah, he'll want to put on a good performance. I think these are the games for the future, you know, and if this is the future, then let's see what he can do. I would like to think Leigh Griffiths would get a game. You know, if Leigh Griffiths was to go into this game and score a couple, it gives Gordon something to think about. I think he's already been on record to say that there isn't enough players playing first-team football with regular games. So let's see what Leigh can do, particularly strikers, you know, and a striker on form is somebody we need. Unfortunately, we don't have one just now.
Well, no surprise every time we play Canada. We haven't lost to them yet, but we've been talking about Scotland. The Canada coach, Mike Finlay, says it's not all about the home nation tonight.
I think, you know, they're currently in a situation, you know, they're under the gun. Everybody knows that, and you know, Gordon knows that, the players know that. They have an important game on the weekend. So they're coming to this, I think, looking to set the tone, leverage this result, both for them internally and for the game on Sunday. So I would expect a very competitive, high-spirited match, and where they're going to work on what they want to do, hopefully against Slovenia. Yeah, so, you know, our players are prepared for that. You know, you don't come to these matches and you know, just walk through.
Well, if we are under the gun, I think this coach and Canada certainly won't be surprised by anything that Scotland have to offer, because Scott Arfield is a man who'll give them chapter and verse on every player. Yes,
and they're another country who obviously have been desperate to qualify for the World Cup finals. You know, they're in the section where obviously America, and they're an improving country. And they'll give us a game, you know, but I would like to think that we've got better players than them. They'll probably try a few young players as well, but certainly I think it'll be a good competitive game.
Yep. Here's a point. Have a listen to this, Ruffy. Scott Arfield said that the players that Scotland have available to them, they should have been performing better.
The squad is, you know, most of them play within England, certainly in the Premier League. So you look at that squad, and you know they should probably be doing better. But you know it's a hard year, international players against international teams, and you know they always get in groups that's predominantly hard to get through. So I don't think you can put too much pressure on them. Maybe underachieving is a bit harsh to them. But I certainly think that the squad that they've got is, you know, it's a magnificent squad.
Yeah, some good players that he'll know about, but we're now in this situation where it's win or bust for Gordon Strachan. I think he knows that this one's just a throwaway. I think sadly it'll be played in front of the lowest crowd they reckon in over a century watching Scotland.
Yeah, that's a sore one for the players. You know, when you want to go into an international, you want the excitement of not a full house, but near enough a full house. You know, it brings the best out, and particularly the young players. So they'll just have to deal with it and get on with it. They'll be concentrating, as we said earlier, and trying to push into that team. And a good performance is a must for them. I don't think they'll be too worried about the crowd.
Yeah, do you think the manager feels any pressure, or is he just taking it in his stride?
I think he's taking it in his stride just now, but I think Gordon's experienced enough to know if it wasn't to go our way, there'll be a massive fallout after the game, and then Gordon would have to deal with it, and would have to decide what we're going to do for the future. But let's hope we don't have to go down that road. Let's hope we get a convincing win and get back into the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to ask you if any kind of a defeat would prompt a call for his head, because you tend to be really resolute in your opinion on that, and then you change your mind just in case you offend anybody.
No, I think there will. I think there will be calls for his head, obviously. But I think in this,
there's calls for his head right now, Ruffy.
Yeah, I know, but you have to look at what's out there, and the next next person come in be better. But I think Gordon will make that decision rather than anybody else.
Okay, Scotland against Canada. On tomorrow night's programme, we'll reflect on that performance and who may well have played themselves into contention for Sunday's game. Now, Ronald de Boer has revealed his dream team of players he's played with. I wonder if you know which Rangers player he picked. Can't be a bit of nepotism, can you? That's the only Rangers player that made it in. Yeah, there was a couple of subs. I mean, Stefan Clausen, I think Mikel Arteta, but he's played with more than a few good players, but only Frank de Boer, his brother, was worthy of inclusion.
Well, there you are. You just keep it in the household. That's the main thing.
Absolutely. Who are we to argue with him? You know, he was a smashing player. I actually really enjoyed watching him, and I always remember Ruffy interviewing him up at Tannadice one day when Rangers were playing Dundee United. It was 4-1 to Rangers. It was a really sandy pitch. It was cut up. It was in dreadful condition. But Ronald was just absolutely magnificent. And at the end, I said, you know, that was a masterclass from you there, Ronald, on a very difficult pitch. And he went, yes, this is normal. And I thought, there you are. I've never met an introvert Dutchman or one lacking in confidence in my life. Have you?
No, but he certainly did. He did. He oozed through games. He never looked under pressure. You know, he had so much ability, and everybody around about him, you know, benefited from it.
Yeah. Okay. And with Rangers in mind, the suggestion from the morning papers is that Dave King will be jetting in for talks, whether it's today or tomorrow, to sit down with Pedro Caixinha. This will be their first face-to-face meeting. I think this is the most critical part of it. It doesn't matter, you know, that Pedro Caixinha, I think, will get that time all the way to the end of the season just to build the team and get them into his style. If he can knock Celtic out of the Scottish Cup, it's a huge bonus, a huge lift for everyone at the club. But these talks, I think, are crucial to the plans that he will have in place.
Yeah, I think they're very, very important, obviously, for the manager, but I think they're even more important for the supporters. I think supporters will be looking this time more than anything else, looking for a bit of movement. They'll be looking, they've already been questioning, you know, the 30 million. I know Dave King's come up and said, I put 18 million in, but that was for wages and players. But I think the supporters now want that wee bit extra. I think they want to see something, and I don't mean a big signing. I just want, they need to see people coming in the door of better ability than what they've got, you know, because they're the ones for the last 2 or 3 years have bought the season tickets. They're the ones who've chipped in their money. They've come up with their part of the deal. I think they now need the owner to come up with his. Yeah,
and with that in mind, Robbie, I mean, recruitment's one thing, but I think Rangers need to. I think Pedro Caixinha will look at people and think, oh, we'll need to try and offload them. He may well look to Martin Waghorn and see if he can get any kind of money for him. Then over and above that, you've got Nico Kranjčar, who's come out today and said that, you know, coming back from the knee injury has been his biggest nightmare, but he's been the forgotten man very much. I mean, does he have something to offer at 32, 33?
Well, again, that's a manager's decision. Sometimes, you know, when a new manager comes in, he has different ideas, idea on what kind of player he wants in there. We all know why Kranjčar came in. You know, obviously he came in because there wasn't a lot of money going to be spent, and they took them and put them on reasonable wages. But it'll be interesting to see whether he wants to go down the road as well as loan players. You know, loan players have been a big part of Rangers over the last couple of years. He might want a more permanent addition in the side, because if you keep bringing loan players in and you're just benefiting the club they're going back to, the young players, why not do it with your own players? You know, there must be some players that you can just give them a chance, or bring in young players and give your own young players and give them a chance for the future.
Yep, okay. Scott Sinclair's been out in the paper saying that he won't be quitting Celtic just to try and force his way into an England setup. I think Scott Sinclair's probably looking and thinking 2 or 3 good years at Celtic on good money and a chance to play Champions League. Why would he want to leave in the first place? He's on the verge of a title with Celtic at Tynecastle on Sunday. you know, a place where he kicked off his career scoring a goal against Hearts.
Yeah, and then that's the benefit of Celtic have got, the chance to give players who, even down in England, wouldn't even see the Champions League, you know, or see a medal, you know, and if they're in a comfortable situation, they love where they're playing, they enjoy where they're playing, they'll want to stay, and the only way they're going to be tempted is if that bid comes in, and so far nothing has come in, so, you know, I think he'll be enjoying every moment of it.
Yep, okay. Here's a line from Alex Smith that caught my eye again. He reckons, you know, the over 4,000 fans that watched Falkirk against Morton and the quality of the football and the standard of the championship is reason enough for people to look again at the size of the top flight. It should be 16 teams, Ruffy. I like what Alec has to say. I think he's an intelligent man and you know, great contribution to Scottish football over many decades. I would like to see a bigger league. I've been on record as saying that.
Yep, I possibly wouldn't have agreed, you know, 3 years ago, but I certainly think now the likes of Falkirk, Morton, you know, these clubs are all full-time now. You know, they've got a full-time set-up. You can see whenever they come up against the teams in the bottom end of the SPFL that they give them a game. You know, there's no gap anymore. There's not a massive gap. And I think if they get the chance to come into the big league, get a wee bit more money, bring in better players, or bring on their young players, I think there would be an addition to our league. Obviously, the fixture thing is always a big problem. But I think if we sat down and worked it out, that at least, you know, these teams, I think these teams would come in and enhance the league. Yeah,
you could still have your 4 Old Firm games if that was the be all and end all for BT or Sky. But over and above that, I mean, if you look at the top 2 or 3 at the moment in the Championship, Hibs brings you back the Edinburgh Derby, which is massive. Dundee United and Dundee, they easily sell out their own derby, which is great. So that would be 14 teams, and then suddenly you add a Falkirk, a Morton. You know, and that brings back, listen, even St Mirren added something, obviously they're at the wrong end of the Championship table, but all of those sides, I think, you know, Dunfermline are a side that many people consider a top Scottish team. Yeah,
I think if you get a chance to look at certain leagues in the Championship division, they're much more than some of the teams in our division. You know, you can get 5,000 or 6,000 at a particular game. And I just think it'd be good. We could obviously revamp the league again. We all like the split. We've seen how exciting that is. We could come up with some format where there's a split eventually and other teams are involved. More teams possibly getting relegated to make it a wee bit sharper down there as well. So yeah, I think there's lots of things. But I think the basic thing is the Championship teams have proved that they can compete with the bottom of their league.
Yeah, and 2 of them are going to lock horns at the weekend, Ruffy. A game I'm looking forward to, Dundee United and St Mirren. In the Challenge Cup, it's hard to believe, you know, we're going back to 1987 and these 2 were in the top flight playing in the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah, it is amazing, but it won't matter, Peter, because the supporters of both clubs will go along there and it's a trophy. You know, they don't win trophies every year. It'll be a day out. I would like to think they would all embrace it, you know, get a really good crowd at the game. And hopefully, you know, a good game to see. And I think that's what the 2 of them will throw up.
Yeah, I was reading Ian Ferguson's piece on Dundee United in 1987. You know, they've beaten Barcelona, they're in the UEFA Cup final, they're in the Scottish Cup final, and they still end up empty-handed.
Yeah, you're right. You know, when you get a chance to go down to other clubs and you get a chance to go into the boardroom, you know, it's nice to see cups that have been won, trophies that obviously in past years you wouldn't have actually known that your club's won it, but trophy cabinet is what football's all about.
Yeah, 2 things to finish, Ruffy. Got to get your thoughts on it. He's 37 today. It's his birthday. A certain Brazilian that I thought was absolutely magnificent as a player. The tricks, he's the only player I've ever witnessed make a pass with his back. Ronaldinho.
Fantastic. I mean, just an entertainer, you know, a player who could do what other players couldn't. That's something special, and it's one of these players when you go along to see and you're expecting something, they don't let you down. They come up with something. I remember he scored a fantastic goal. Was it against Chelsea? It was a free kick. Toe poke, you know, just a bit of magic. Yeah. You know, it was super.
Yeah, absolutely, and numerous people have said to me he's just a sand dancer, but what a sand dancer! It depends. World class.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely, yeah. Wouldn't argue with that.
Okay. Ruffy, as you know, big Liverpool fan, and that's why we always come up with, boot room guests on a regular basis. Sadly, one man in particular, Ronnie Moran, who was part of that legendary boot room at Liverpool, has passed away at 83 years of age. He's part of the Liverpool legend. He was a player for them and also a coach and caretaker manager from time to time.
Yeah, I think Liverpool set the standard of that boot room mentality, and I think anybody that's been a football club will know there's a lot goes on in the old. I think boot rooms are the same as what they used to be, but I mean, when we played, that's where you hung about. That's where the crack was, and you used to have a laugh with whoever was in there. And Liverpool were the first team to bring that big time. It used to be they used to be in there for an hour and a half, and all just sitting blethering there. So. Yeah, Liverpool were the first boot room people.
Yep, another football great sadly gone, and condolences to all the family. From Ruffy and myself, hopefully we're talking tomorrow about a good Scotland win. Thanks for watching. Good night.